A nice warm hello to all you listening right now. Our hope is that you can join us here at the Chit Chat Cafe and walk away with a nice laugh, a breath of fresh air, an aha moment, a way to pass time, hopefully a guide to your sticky situation. Whatever the case may be, we want to thank you for sharing your time with us. Now, sit back and enjoy the chit chat. Hey!
It's like, you guys.
Yes.
Love it.
Super.
You guys too.
Of course.
Girls, I couldn't wait to see y'all. It's been a terrible week. Let me just tell y'all. That's why I'm drinking iced coffee today. I feel like iced coffee is so much stronger
It's needed.
than like hot coffee.
You think so?
I think so. I don't know. What do y'all think?
I feel like for the most part, I like hot coffee and feel like it's stronger. But I do believe that here in Texas, you gotta have your strong cold brew when needed.
I was about to
Yes.
say
If you haven't tried this, you need to
wouldn't
try
try
it. So it's like a shaken espresso with oat milk.
both. Ooh, okay.
I think I
And it
have
has
tried
brown sugar.
Ooh.
yeah,
It's
that's
so good.
so good.
Well, I got matcha.
Matcha. I haven't ever had that.
It's really good. You guys have to try it.
So today, I had told y'all that I was gonna bring the house special,
Yeah.
el cafecito especial de mi casa. So if y'all have had breakfast at my house recently with me, I will make you a good coffee, and it's café de olla.
Okay.
Oh.
So it's like
Is
canela.
that yummy?
It's yummy. So it's canela, té de canela, like
So
cinnamon
café
tea.
olla means
Café
coffee
de
in
olla.
how would you say it? In a pan?
pot.
In a
Pot.
pot. In a pan.
I said the
But
same
it's
thing.
like the not just any pot. It's the barro. What is it?
Oh,
What
the
is
jarrito
called?
one. Is it
Kinda
jarito?
like that. So it's,
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. I don't know
So
how to
it's
say that in
like the
English.
brown color one?
Yeah, the brown. I don't know what you call it, but I don't.
Clay one.
I don't.
Yeah, the
Clay.
clay.
Oh
yeah,
yes, the clay pot.
Okay.
So it's that café de olla, and my dad loved it all the time. So it's canela hervida, like té de canela.
I mean, let me see.
And
Let
then
me
a little
try
bit
it.
of,
Try
of
it.
milk.
No, I'm not going to try it.
Oh, okay.
You know me.
I know. That's why I was like, oh, okay.
I was like, okay.
surprise.
I thought she was going to say, girl, you kidding. You ain't going to try my coffee because I already drank it.
Anyway, and I put coffee in it, mix the coffee in that instead
Yeah.
of just,
Yeah.
water. And then I top it with some whipped cream and little
Cinnamon.
cinnamon.
Okay.
That sounds yummy.
It's
see
mi
you.
cafecito especial.
I don't want to look at the calorie count for that.
Girl, don't even bother. It's gonna be. Just think about the yumminess.
Yeah.
That's all I'm thinking about.
That sounds good.
It's
Yes.
so good. It's so good. So if you've recently had breakfast with me, you know. If you know, you know.
There you go.
We're gonna check it out.
For sure. For
That's
sure.
what I'm having today. I'm been a little bit mocosa. This Texas weather does not like me.
No,
So.
for sure it doesn't.
I think it's for everybody because this weather yesterday, if you guys do not live in Texas, it's been crazy. Yesterday it started beautiful and it started
We almost
raining,
died.
and then the
Tornado
wind, tornado watch. It was bananas.
I mean, a tornado came by here. Look, our studio
It's so
is
good.
set up
We're good.
different.
Just moved everything around.
It sure
Oh,
did.
I love that. Yeah. See,
It
tornado here in Texas.
It turned things around. But do y'all like it?
love
We
it.
love it.
I
love
mean,
it.
this is
So
like
good.
so good. Like I can see y'all better.
Yes.
I think the other way.
Everybody's panza, too.
No, girl, don't say that. Don't say
I think
that.
the other way I felt like a teacher.
Girl.
And like this way I feel like we're together. Like, you know, we're sitting and talking. The other way it was like, this is what we're going to do next. You know,
Look
like.
at
My face was kind of halfway
Half
covered. Now
on
you
the
can
side.
see my
Now you
entire
can see-
face.
there you go.
So if you don't like
Beauty,
it,
beauty,
it's here.
natural beauty.
Too bad you get the whole view.
Which is good. Okay. So, with that being said, because you put in, being looking cute and whatnot, do you guys want to know what the topic is today?
Yes, girl, bring it.
Okay. So, is hopefully you guys are ready also for the sticky situation. And we're going to be talking about boundaries with family, okay? Some family cross boundaries when, we ask about information or relationships or child rearing or school or work, etc. But before we go there, what do boundaries look like to you in general?
No sé. Por eso estoy viendo el Chit Chat.
No sabemos qué es boundaries.
I don't know. That's why I'm tuning into Chit Chat.
Okay.
Hispanos no sabemos de
Boundaries. No, I
boundaries.
get it, girl, because my parents didn't either. But okay, boundaries mean having rights, right? Your ability to your right to say no, the right to be yourself, the right to express your emotions.
Girl, we Hispanic, girl.
I get it, but we got to know what boundaries are because
you have no rights.
Girl, even though they're Hispanic or coming from a Hispanic family, I had to put a boundary with my folks.
Ooh.
Like I had to, so boundaries is that meaning having rights. So with that being, what are boundaries that you've come across?
Well, I guess I want to say, first of all, like, I didn't have any boundaries. And now that I'm married and I have a daughter, I'm working on my boundaries.
Amen to that. Same here.
I didn't know that I could use boundaries.
Yeah.
Like, the only boundaries I knew was, like, if you don't know how to swim, you're not gonna get in the pool, right? Yeah, because it was like safety, right? But I had no idea.
You just made me think about my dad and how we learned how to swim because they just tossed us.
Yeah,
boundaries, Dad. Boundaries.
In the Latino culture, we do not have boundaries. ¿Qué es eso? ¿Qué es
None
eso?
whatsoever.
¿Cómo que me vas a decir qué decirte o qué hacer or whatever?
Yeah. No, I think parents get shocked first and foremost.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
They don't like us to tell them what to do or how to do things.
No.
Especially with their grandkids.
Oh, let's not touch it.
Girl.
Oh, that's a tough one right there. What I do know, or what I'm learning, is that when you don't have boundaries, like when they don't exist, you're literally taking the responsibility of other people's feelings.
Yeah.
Like their actions, how they feel, what they're saying, you're taking it on because you don't have that boundary to say, you don't like my opinion, you don't like what I'm doing, I'm sorry, but that's how it's gonna be. And when you don't have boundaries, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna hurt their feelings, or so it's so much stress.
I 100%.
But I have to say that setting boundaries now as an adult, Nubia, it's hard.
Yeah.
Because everyone's like, who's this?
Yeah.
Like, and they blame everybody else around you. Oh, it's because of your new friends or your new job or
a relationship
or your husband or whatever relationship you're in, and it's like, oh, it's because of that, and
or
it's
the
like,
people that you've been hanging out with.
And I'm like, no, it's because I'm getting healthier.
Yeah. My mentality comes first.
For sure.
Exactly.
So,
and
go ahead.
And you have set your rules at home. But to me, I feel like whenever I moved away, I moved out in the country. I moved away from my family. I was a whole hour away, and so there I had to figure out my own. It wasn't like I'm gonna take my kids to mom, to grandma, I had to figure it out on my own.
Your community or your inner circle that you had,
my community was no
not
longer there, so I had to see for my children, and so that's whenever I knew I had to set some boundaries when we came back, because everything was all over the place. Everyone, and of course I love my family and I love to be around everyone. I love my siblings, my mom, but when I moved back home
and with kids,
it was crazy. Everything was everywhere. Everyone was everywhere.
I bet you felt like so stressed.
Yeah. Yes, stress level was up the wall. So I might have
Came out wrong.
came out pretty.
But you establish boundaries.
Yes, and so
Okay.
now everyone knows, especially with my my children's sleeping schedule. That I feel
That's a
like
good
that is one of the
That is a
biggest
good
ones for me. That
Yes.
was the most important. Because out there, it was everyone in bed by 7
Yeah.
on the school day.
Yeah, schedule doesn't change even though you move somewhere else. No, I get it.
And so that was one of my biggest ones. So I had to set that boundary with my family, and they looked at me crazy. I probably came out pretty like rude or whatever, but my kids would get on my nerves. Sorry. I love
We love
them.
you.
I love you guys.
Aw.
Don't think I don't like them. Don't go and say Josie said her kids get on her nerves. No, like because they didn't want to go to bed. Sundays are our family days,
Of course.
and all my siblings are there. Most of the time, they're there. And the kids love their cousins and like to play. And
So
also
they don't want to
fight
go
with
to
them.
sleep on
No.
And
Sundays.
so on Sunday they don't
It's
want to go to
hard.
sleep because everyone's still there, and that's fine. I love you guys, but my kids didn't want to go to sleep, and there was times where I had to drag my kids
Híjole.
to bed, and I'm like, I don't care who's
We are on a
here.
schedule. A
I do
sleeping
not
schedule.
care
Well,
who's
I mean,
here. we
it-
are on a schedule, and that's what we're
it's
gonna
it's
do.
important to
Of
have
course.
like if we're gonna just zone in real quick to sleeping schedules, it's so important. Like
Yes.
That was one of my
I
biggest.
I remember when Donnie was growing up, even now, there was things that we didn't go to. There was things that we would leave early because it's like her bedtime's coming, and everybody would be like, "What?"
Yeah.
And it's like, no, it's a real thing.
Yeah.
Like we have a sleeping schedule. We have that boundary. So.
I remember looking at Monica at times, like they were over and they were leaving. They'd just get up and start, like her and Sam, as a team, get up and start putting her in PJs, and I'm like,
I love that. Yes. Oh my gosh, that is so
they
funny.
brought their
'cause
whole
it's-
backpack
Yes.
and everything, and they
Yeah.
had their own and I'm like,
But that was
Heck.
needed.
Yeah.
But now I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true.
Now I know.
Yes. No.
And we
it
still do it.
needed.
And yeah,
That's beautiful.
they
She's
do.
10, and I'm like,
It's okay. She's
if
your
we
baby
know
for
we're
life.
going to, my in-laws or somewhere, we have her PJs, her toothbrush, like,
Yeah.
because that's a boundary that we set.
Yeah, and then it makes her know. Okay, schedule. You guys don't. No se desvían.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's always good. Okay. So boundaries with family.
Mm.
Have you ever had a conversation boundaries with family?
I gotta make that noise.
With your mom and dad?
Girl.
Okay. What about you, Josie?
Well, that was mine.
It's
I know.
hard.
I know you did. Sorry.
It's hard because okay,
hard.
so I think that if you weren't brought up with boundaries, it's hard to experience them as adults, like to say, hey, boundaries are actually a good thing.
Yeah.
And so walking or going against that current of no, you tell me everything.
Yeah.
We know everything about you. We do everything together. We talk about everything. And then all of a sudden cutting that off, it's
Yeah.
like
Cold turkey type of thing.
yeah, it's hard.
No, I get it. I think for me, lo que me viene en mente, what I spoke to last week was when I had to put that boundary towards my parents and not see my babies as the other parental figure, because my babies have a parental figure, which is me and my husband,
Yeah.
right? And the only title that I wanted my parents to have then is grandma and grandpa. So we really tried, but no, I get it. I feel like with the Latino community or Hispanic period, it's so hard, but it's needed. Like you guys did stated, it's so needed because if not, they're going to either go all over you and they mean in the best possible way, right?
Yeah.
But I guess having a generation born here, we're learning stuff too, and also when we become parents. So the next one that I have is yes, not that we've talked a lot about the boundaries, but because we touch about the kids part, what boundaries do you guys have with your kiddos that you set in place, regardless of coming from the Latino community or the Latino background? But what are boundaries that you set in place with your kiddos?
Oh, that's a very like tough question, because I feel like our boundaries are going to continue to change because she's 10.
Of course.
I would love to hear Josie's because she has a teenager,
yes,
you know,
young adult.
But like the way I connected, like seeing myself when I was 10 and, you know, growing up to now when, you know, Dani, the way I'm trying to raise her, some of the boundaries are the same, but some are different. Like, I know that's contradicting myself, but for example, like we have a thing that if she says the truth to us first, her consequences are going to be a lot lower than if I find out the truth from someone else. And I feel like if the tables were turned when I was younger, it was going to be the same. Like, there wasn't a boundary about telling the truth. It was like either you did it or you were going to die. You know, like that was it. And so I feel like that's one of the boundaries that comes to mind, is like we reward her for being honest.
Yes.
You know.
And I feel like I kind of touched base about a little bit on one of our previous episodes about how I tell my oldest daughter, like, you need to tell us the truth. You know, people know us and they see you, they're gonna know whose child you are. Not, they know you may not know them, but you gotta tell us the truth about whatever, whether it hurts or it doesn't. You know, you're gonna let us know because of the consequences that are gonna come. And I feel like with her now, there's so many kinds of boundaries that we've already talked.
Of course. Like,
it's time, it's emotions, it's sexual, you know,
a little bit of everything.
She just turned 17. And
so what you're referring is like to physical, to morals, to emotional, and as she getting older, eventually
the other boundaries start coming up. And it's something that as a parent I never seen myself doing, but I feel like her and I have a pretty good relationship. So and also, like, so many things came up right at middle school age where I was like,
Santo.
Yeah.
Don't tell me that, girl.
I'm sorry, but it's coming.
It's que middle school, pobrecitos, niños.
And I feel like for the most part, she was still like kid, like her thoughts were still like innocent until she got there to middle school. It was game over. I had to had the birds and the bees and the bees and the birds.
I know, she game over.
It was game over, y'all. But now, you know, we've talked about all the boundaries, and I'm sure it's gonna keep coming.
And they're so important. Boundaries are so important.
Very.
They have to exist because I think boundaries are not so much like walls. I hear a lot of talk about boundaries being walls, or boundaries being, you know, a fence, or boundaries being like, you know, a door and you can see out. I feel like boundaries are steps.
I like that.
Because I think they're so important because it shows like what a person, an individual likes and dislikes. And that can change. Like, if you know, the same boundary about bedtime might not be the same for Dani when she's 17, right? When she's in high school and they have to stay up later for homework and stuff. And so,
or friends.
Right, or friends. So I like to consider boundaries like steps. And so I think they're so important because if you don't have boundaries, I feel like you don't grow. Like, you're going to stay there.
It's forever evolving.
Right. And people are going to continue to like cross lines that they shouldn't, and you're just going to have to just take it because you don't set it up.
I've had to teach her, like, I'm setting boundaries for you.
Yeah.
Now you can set your own boundaries for your friends,
Yeah.
your boyfriend,
Relationships.
whatever the case may be. You can set your own.
Yeah.
Because once you set boundaries, you know what you want and what you don't want.
Correct.
And
That's
you
good.
know what you want your friends doing for you or to you or whatever. So if you don't like that, you need to let them know, hey, stop that. I don't like it. We're not going to do this again.
Yeah.
And keep it moving. If they don't like it, they're gonna be out of the way. And she laughs because she's like, "What friends?"
Oh,
And
no,
I'm,
she has friends.
I'm like, "Oh yeah, you don't have friends.
Stop it!
You're toxic."
No.
No, she's not.
No, okay.
No, but she has maybe a handful of friends,
Which
But
is good.
Which
Yes.
is good because she had set boundaries.
That's good.
Yeah.
And sometimes she's like, my life is boring, and I'm like, it's not.
it's not.
It's not boring. You're just focused. You're focused,
And
right
it's
now,
healthy.
And
Yes.
Yeah, it's healthy. It's healthy to put some kind of boundaries.
Yes.
And the
And
younger you get them started, the
It's
better.
easier.
And I feel like she she always grew up around older people, and I think y'all know because she was the only kid in our group at one point.
The oldest one, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
for
it
sure.
was Dani
In her.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, she was the oldest one, so she had to be the figure for the others.
For sure.
And so she's learned so much and she learned boundaries, and that's why she's, I feel like she doesn't have very many friends because she knows who, choose your friends wisely. I've always told her.
That's right.
And so, yeah, she's focused. She'll be a senior next year.
Oh my goodness.
That's so exciting.
Yeah, but that's beyond, that's a whole different topic.
So
But
as
she's
now that
learning
we have
boundaries.
because coming from a background not having setting boundaries, do you feel like it's easier for you guys to set boundaries with your children?
I feel like now that I've set my own boundaries for myself and my children, it'll, like my oldest, she already has her own. So that's what I want to do with the littles. And even, I have my son, and then I have my baby, my daughter.
Yeah.
And so I've set him boundaries.
Yes.
And my baby her boundaries, and so now they're like, oh, and so we're learning.
Yeah.
And now I feel like I can have my one-on-one time, and we talk about everything with my son.
Yes.
And I tell him, look, this is what I expect from you. This is what I want you doing. And my baby, this is the same way. And we talk, like, give your brother his space, and you give your sister your space. You
That's
gotta
so
respect
sweet.
her.
Their
And you
bubbles.
gotta respect each other.
I do the
And
same.
I feel like I am finally now, like, I feel proud of my parenting skills. A lot of people may not agree. It's like agree to disagree, but I don't care. Like, I'm raising
Everybody's
my kids.
different, girl. We all have different things.
And I talk to my kids harsh when they need to be talked to harsh.
Yeah.
But they are learning boundaries, and I'm so proud. Like, my son, he sometimes cries because I'm the hardest on him, just because he's a boy and he's tough.
Well, I would cry too.
But I give him that love.
No,
And
I
I- because and I'm
Love
tough.
me,
I'm hard on
Mom.
him because you guys know him. He's a tough boy.
He sure
and,
is. I love it
And,
though.
and sometimes I have to be rough with him, but I also give him that mom love. Like,
Nurture.
I nurture him, and I do baby
You're
him a
training
lot.
him to be a good husband.
And a gentleman.
And that's what I want, because I'm like, boy,
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna teach you to be tough, and I know that your dad probably does that too, but my job is to love you
Yes.
and to show you the love and to baby you, but not too much.
Yeah.
I'm gonna show you tough love as well. I'm gonna be rough and tough on you.
I wonder if it's easier, to your question, Nubia, for parents that have more than one child. Because, like, this week has been the most terrible week I've experienced as a parent. And one thing that I learned is it's hard. It's hard to teach Dani boundaries because I'm barely learning them myself. and I'm an adult, you know? And so teaching her boundaries, like she was saying, the whole bubble between brothers and sisters, she doesn't have that. And so when she's in school with those friends that can seem like, okay, maybe not brothers and sisters, right? But you're there so much that it's like we're just now teaching her to set those boundaries. And I'm learning that poor boundaries come in two ways. Like there's the boundaries of you're like a passive person, like you're sweet, you have a big heart, and you take on the responsibility
for everybody.
Yes, for everybody, and you hurt when they hurt, and you love them regardless, and their emotions, and you're so in it, and no one sees that. And then there's the other person that has poor boundaries and expects everyone to drop at their emotions. Like, hey, I'm feeling this. Why aren't you?
Like, come on.
Yeah, why aren't you feeling that? You know, I'm going through this. I need you to feel this too. Yeah. And so she is definitely the big heart, loves big, feels big. I mean, even with extended family, she's just like so heartbroken. And so I think it is necessary as parents to teach our kids boundaries, because I see how it's affecting her. And it's because, like I said, I'm barely learning them myself, and they're looked at so negatively. Like, oh, if you set boundaries, you don't love me, or you don't care about my opinion.
So here comes the next one, and it's gonna go a little bit more deeper. Okay. Because you touched it right there, and that's like kind of where I want to go. Teaching our kiddos boundaries, even though that you only have one. Girl, me coming from a family, of course, that I have, you know, nephews, nieces, you know, all over. I have taught my kids, look, you make sure if you don't want to be hugged, if you don't want to be kissed, it's okay for you to say no.
Yeah. I'm just now learning that. I'm just now learning.
But I think, Mama, with that, I think for me and how it got me to that is what happened to me in the past.
Yeah. You
know, that you're much more aware. You're much more like, I want to make sure my kids know everything, and I don't want to keep them in the dark. You know?
For sure.
Because you never know. So have you guys talked, because of situations that can happen, hey baby, it's okay, you can say yes and you can say no. Like, you have the right, even though that they're little people. I call them my little people, but they're little people. Yes, we're adult people, right? But they're little people, and they have to they have to know that their voice has a lot of power.
For sure. Well, this week oh my gosh, this week has totally like been that example, you know, for us. And I think for me, like, raising Dani to love God first, and then love others and put herself last, like, that's always been our model. But at the same time, I feel like God had boundaries too. Like, how many times did he step away and say, okay, this is my time, you know? And I feel like that is where I'm taking her, that it's okay to say no. It's okay to say, hey, you know what? I need a break from our friendship. Like, she is 10, but, you know, it's been the hardest week of her little life. And so we're teaching her now not to worry or to take on the feelings of others. And it's so hard because she's like,
what's that word? Empath, right?
Yeah, like empathy.
Okay,
yeah.
Continue.
And so she's totally like passionate and has that heart for other people. And so it's just been difficult. So I'm just now learning, because to me it was always like, you go say thing, go, thank you. You go show
Go
that.
hug.
Yes, go show them
dale
that.
besito, or-
Exactly. Yeah. And so with friends at school, it's been like, no, you go, you say I'm sorry, even if you didn't do anything wrong. You be the first. And now I'm like, oh my goodness, like, it's okay if she speaks up and says,
No.
not right
No.
now.
Yeah.
I
And-
need to be with other friends or whatever
Yeah.
the case may be.
I feel like it's so crazy that you said that, because that's how I was growing up. I was an empath. I always cared about other
Everybody.
people.
everyone else,
Put yourself last.
and I put myself
Mhm.
last. I wanted to make sure everyone else was okay, and I feel to probably a couple years, like, I always wanted to make sure, like, everyone else was taken care of, and I was last. But it's like, what happened to my needs for what I want, you know, for me? And so it's never, like you keep saying, like,
Never too
we're
late.
you keep saying, like, we're just now learning. It's never too late to
Yeah.
set boundaries.
For
And
sure.
I think that's
And
a
I feel
beautiful
like-
thing about life, because we're ever growing.
Yeah,
Ever evolving.
we'll just be growing and growing. And I feel like with Helen, that's where I kind of started touching base, because even she was at a point where I was. And so I felt she always cared about everyone else and how everyone else felt. And the same thing with her friends.
Yeah.
Because she didn't have siblings until she was 9.
Little. Oh my
Um,
Yeah.
goodness.
And so it reminds me, like, right now that you're talking about Donnie, like, it reminds me, Helen was also there, and we had a hard time, especially in middle school.
Yeah.
That her friends were doing this and her friends were doing that. I'm like, but you don't do that.
Yeah.
For sure.
And
Yeah.
and that's when we started talking about boundaries and which friends to stay with and
To
which
stay.
friends to like, you gotta cut them out. I'm sorry, like,
She's learning. It's so funny because she's learning, like, even me, I think, right? But I just love where this journey is taking us. So she's learning, like, who are her close friends, and then who are, like, I guess, like, her close friends, and then who are friends, and then who are acquaintances.
yeah,
The foes.
Yeah, and I never knew that. Like, for me, I wanted everyone to be my close friend.
Same.
And so I, like, grew up that way, like, doing everything for everyone so that they can just be my friend and love
It's
me.
okay to say that. I was gonna say it's okay for you to say love me, because
And love me.
that was my thought process too,
Yeah.
and what I had in the background of I just want to be likable, so I guess estoy and dando everything or whatever, even though that sometimes you may not get the reciprocated, or may not get the same thing in return.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say, but
And it's hard
Yeah.
because she's 10 and she's going through it, but I'm happy that it's happening now, because I feel like it's gonna make her a healthier adult.
yes,
Like, to know, hey, this is my
Yes.
space, and it's
Yes.
okay. And it's also okay to make up with those friends. Like,
Yeah.
so it's kind of like something that she's definitely working through, and it's definitely not over, and it's not the prettiest situation.
Yeah,
And right when I'm like, God, I can't, like, I just want to keep her to myself. Like, just
like, you don't want to get,
Yes.
you don't want them hurt because you're
course.
hurt.
yeah, for real.
no,
And
and more
that-
because she has a big heart.
Yeah.
She does.
It's like, I'm not trying to change you, baby girl, but I want to make sure that you have a backbone to be like not walked all over.
Yes.
But still keep your innocence and the sweetness. Girl, I have the same problem because my Leia is in the same aspect, but is good for them to, even though, have a voice and letting know, you know what, it's okay.
Yeah.
Not right now.
for
Yeah.
sure.
Pause or whatever.
Yeah.
There were, and like I said, like, I had to learn to say no. I had to learn to, like, push the people away that I felt that were not good to me, and I couldn't continue to give of myself to them and them not see or not care. So I'm like, you know what? You're cut off.
Mm-mm.
It hurts me, but I'm done.
But that's hard
Have
to
you-
do with family.
I was about to have you done that with family?
No, not with family. But I'm saying like
Okay,
friendships.
like you're cut
Okay.
out. Like okay.
No, and I didn't tell them, or like I didn't ever like say it, but I'm sure like they felt it, and
Yeah.
they slowly, God's gonna take them from your path. You know,
you
it's like
didn't.
no, déjame te los quito. No,
No.
Stop talking.
No.
With family, it's hard to
With
set
family,
those
it is hard.
those boundaries
but
because
to
your
set
family.
boundaries, and they're gonna eventually know. And see, I think that my family kind of seen that ugly side of me, where I would have to literally drag my kid to bed, and him crying, kicking, screaming, and I'm like, sorry, dude, like in front of everyone, it's bedtime. I already said it. And then everyone's just looking at me, and I'm like, I don't care who's still here. You're
Yeah.
going to bed.
Yeah.
I don't care. Go to bed.
It's just hard because
It
it's
is.
unknown.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Boundaries with siblings.
Mm.
Have y'all placed boundaries with siblings?
I am fortunate that I'm the baby of my family.
So everybody was trying to like shelter you and
so
everything.
I don't feel like I really had an issue with my siblings. Like I think, and we're so far apart in age that I feel like if anything they were helping me like to live life a little bit, to know me a little bit more. But my brothers and sisters are great. Like they respect me as a mom. Now if they say things about me behind my back, I don't know. Yeah, because I don't know, but
shake it off, right? No sabemos, no sabo.
Yeah, but other than that, they've been great. Like I think they respect me as a mom, they respect me as a wife, they respect my husband. I think the hardest for me with family, it's been my parents. Because I'm the baby, and so that's been really hard, like setting boundaries with them, and that now it's barely coming up.
Finally, what?
Like for me to be
no.
I'm busy, I can't go over. It's like,
Hold on, okay. Can you give
ya
us
no
a-
me quieres,
I was
ya no
about
me
to say that.
quieres.
Yes, bring it on. Let us
it's
know
like,
what did they say.
and so I'm like, no, mom, I really do love you. He's like, no, right?
It's like se le murieron el mundo when you say, mom, like, I can, or dad, I
For
can't.
sure.
Because, okay, I think what comes to play here is it's hard for them to see us as adults.
I think they still think I'm like,
They still
baby.
consider us exactly their
Moniquita.
children.
Moniquita, yeah,
yes. And
for
it's so
sure.
hard. And it's like, mom, I even have my own kids, or dad, I have my own kids now.
but I wonder if just in the Latino community, it's hard to set boundaries. I don't know. Let us know.
So I was checking that up. Thank you for saying that.
Okay.
I feel like the top one kind of go hand is our Asian community. They make sure like to bite their tongue and like not express too much, kind of like what we do in a sense. But I feel like they top us, porque if you ever either say something, it's like no, it's forbidden,
Especially for the parents.
for the
right?
parents.
Yeah.
Yes, so we're kind of there. Y también los hispanos is in the same boat because it's like they don't know what boundaries are. It's like, get boundaries. You're gonna be stuck to me until
Yeah,
the day
for sure.
I take my last breath.
Sam
Yo
makes
soy
a
tu
joke.
madre.
Yeah, Sam makes a
Te
joke,
traje al
and
mundo.
he's like, that umbilical cord is long. And I'm like,
Uh-oh.
whatever, Sam. But then I step back and I'm like, oh, yeah, it is long.
Oh,
Like
telling you your truth. Oh my
And so I'm like,
gosh.
I'm going to cut it. And I'm like,
It's so
No,
hard.
it's
So
Can't.
tough already.
No,
I
but
can't cut it.
it's needed, guys. I think
It
that
is.
learning here, it's needed.
Yeah, for
We
sure.
need it. And not just for our mental sake, our kiddos,
For sure.
the little people that see us, it's needed.
Well, I have some few tips about setting healthy boundaries.
Dale, I'm
Y'all want to
ready.
hear?
Let's go.
Okay, here we go.
Sorry, I keep
So,
touching this over and
visualize and name your limits.
Mhm.
Visualize and name your limits. That's so hard. And so I think that is a very healthy first step. You have to see where you want to go and say, it's okay. This is all I can give.
Yeah.
You know, because especially if it's like to other people, then you're cutting off your own immediate family, you know? Open communication, openly communicate your boundaries. Like, so people won't take like, oh, she's just rude. Say, no, this is my boundary and it's okay. Reiterate and uphold your boundaries. Like if you say, this is my boundary. Like, for example, let your yes be yes and your no be no.
It's like my time with my sleeping
You're alone
schedule with my kids. And I feel like that's the biggest. My family can probably attest to that, because I struggle with my son waking up in the morning for school.
Yeah.
And so I've had to make it very clear to my mom, especially because, you know, I live with her right now. I'm temporarily staying with her. And so she's like, ay, pero por qué? And I'm like, Mom, I have to do it. She's like, it's
no, a mi
too early.
chiquito, please, no me le hables así. I can just hear my parent.
Yeah, and so I'm like, I have to. Like, I'm the one that struggles with him to wake up. He cries, he screams, he kicks. And 7:30 is the best fit.
Yeah.
Nothing more, nothing less. That's the best time because I'm fine. I wake up at 6:30. I have time to like read my Bible verse of the day.
There you go.
Journal over here.
And put on some worship music or whatever music.
Some Megan Trainor. No. Well, there's another one that says, don't be afraid to say no. And remember, with all these healthy boundaries, there's a way to deliver it.
Yes.
Like, no,
it's okay.
No, it's okay
like,
to say no, thank you, not right now.
And I'm learning to do those things.
And it's okay to feel like a disco rayado. You're gonna reiterate that over and over and
For
over.
sure.
I think
so don't feel bad.
Yeah.
You know, because again, we're teaching also a culture that don't know about boundaries.
Or maybe you don't even have to say it. I think your actions will speak louder.
My face will say
you know, it's kind of like you guys, without me even saying it, y'all said, I remember Monica and Sam bringing pajamas for Donnie when we were over, and that was me setting boundaries without even knowing. You know. So another one, take time for yourself, which we talked about. If you haven't seen our previous episode, go watch. And the other one is how much time you spend together with your immediate family and people from your friends, and then respecting your emotional boundaries. I think that's important too, because as we know, we're in a time and era of mental health, and our emotions play a lot with that.
It's amplified.
Yes.
Agreed.
And guys, take note of your children, please, because if anything, that's what we've been seeing this week. Emotions play a lot of, they change a lot, and it's okay. And so boundaries are healthy to set. I'm excited that we had this chit chat, this sticky situation, because boundaries are hard.
Good.
And needed.
Yeah, for sure.
Very much needed.
For sure.
Very important to have in your home.
So don't feel afraid to, sitting your folks down and be like, hey, in the nicest way possible, I guess how you present it, right?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
If you ask me, like, I had to be frustrated at times, but it was done, and they know it. They got it.
There you go.
They got it.
Well, I'm glad we had this chit chat. I'm excited to see where it takes us.
Yes,
it's an opening
because there's so many boundaries.
Definitely.
Right now, we talked about kids and family. So there we go.
Well, thank you guys. Thank you so much for joining us today. And if you guys have not already, check our solo chats.
Yes.
Check our solo chats. You get a glimpse
our
of
chola chats.
Our chola chats. You get a little bit of glimpse of us being a little bit more personal. So check us out, okay? Like.
Yes, go follow, like, and subscribe to our channel on YouTube, Instagram. Click our link tree for all the
social media.
It's okay, sorry.
Mama. I got you.
Apple Podcast and
Spotify.
So check it out.
Guys, if you don't hear from me, it's because I'm setting boundaries with my mom and dad. Please send help. I'm going to write like SOS on the window or something.
And then we're going to know. She finally talking about boundaries. Yeah. We're going to have to go over there.
So help.
You'll do fine.
But it's a real thing, okay? So please go watch our other episodes. Yes. Thank you again for sharing your time, because you can be watching anything else and you're joining us, and so we hope that you've enjoyed this chit chat. All right, girls. Hasta la next chit chat.